everyone, this is Stan, your favorite Polish Taiwan YouTuber. Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome to today's show. There is a new trending hashtag on the Chinese internet, to turn red. It is used in regards to China's health codes turning red as means of political oppression. Let me explain. The CCP using pandemic as a tool to oppress their people is not the news, but now we have more solid proof. The CCP has been very proud of their health code pandemic management and used it to restrict people's movement. But now it all went even further. Now they're using the health codes to interfere with other freedoms and for some other stability maintenance waving purposes. I made a video with some examples of using pandemic as a tool of oppression last August. How the cities that showed political dissent all had COVID outbreaks all of a sudden, and people were forced to stay at their homes. Do you guys remember the Zhengzhou floods last July? How Xi Jinping said that the great pandemic after the great flood shall be prevented. It really sounded like a prophecy, as right after his speech there was an all-of-a-sudden COVID outbreak in Zhengzhou. And this year, in April, 4 rural banks in China blocked online and mobile cash withdrawals for clients, basically leaving non-local customers unable to transfer funds, and all of those 4 banks were controlled by the Henan Rural Commercial Bank. There is a piece of news on how the bank's management and major shareholders persuaded customers into depositing in small local banks, and at the same time advertising that the interest rate was higher than of the 4 major state-owned banks. It actually attracted a large number of non-local depositors. After absorbing customer deposits, the money was transferred into a different fund, and such a transfer of funds reached about 40 billion Chinese yuan. Generally speaking, in cases like this, it is normal for depositors to want to take their money out of the bank. In the beginning, the local government of Zhengzhou was supposed to assist in dealing with the related issues, but when a large number of Henan Bank clients were actually going to enter the area where these small banks are located, and when they scanned their health code, an interesting thing happened. When they departed, the code was green, but when they got closer to the destination, they were forced to scan it again, and it turned red. It doesn't matter if they came by the high-speed rail or drove themselves. As long as you're a client of the bank involved in the scheme, your health code will turn red. And once you leave the above-mentioned region, the health code will turn green again. There is an even more ridiculous piece of news. Once one of the bank clients got his health code scanned on the high-speed train, the train was stopped immediately. Honestly, when I heard that, I thought that only an intergalactic evil empire from a science fiction movie could do that. I really didn't expect a country that is actually showing its global ambitions to do such things to their citizens. But life is very different in the CCP-run China. Talking about the clients of those banks, just because you had a deposit there, you could still get your health code becoming red, even if you didn't go to Henan. In this case, Xiaonan, who lives in Shenzhen, woke up in the morning and found that he was red. The red code was given by Henan province. Then Xiaonan's Shenzhen health code also got red later, as those systems are actually interconnected. Xiaonan hasn't left Shenzhen recently, but he had a bank account in Henan. On this account, he still had 350,000 Chinese yuan. Some of the viewers maybe don't know what getting a red code in China means. Basically, it's your social death. You can't get on public transport, you can't enter any public places. So, to get the health code green again, Xiaonan asked the Guangdong Province Epidemic Prevention Department for help, but the department answered that they don't have such an authority to remove the red code issued by Henan Province, and he needs to contact the Henan Epidemic Prevention Department by himself. So, Xiaonan called the Henan government's hotline, but the staff told him that they had no authority and asked him to contact other departments. On June 15th, there was a discussion on a chat group of 200 bank clients from Henan small towns that their health code turned red all of a sudden. Some of them have been to Henan, some have not been there, and a bank client in Shenyang said that he wants to check this out. If it's really true, he scanned the code and it turned red. So now Henan health code is jokingly called by everyone that China right now not only has health codes, but also had bank clients' red codes. I think such a thing is probably the only one in the whole world since the beginning of human history, so China got its first place here. So far, we still don't know who exactly abused his or her power to make the bank client's health code turn red all of a sudden. The officials are passing the buck as usual. They say they got nothing to do with it and are currently investigating the case, but for the bank clients, it won't probably even be possible to take their money out. Ren Chuanyo, a human rights lawyer in Henan, said that the central government in Beijing has long been aware of such a non-compliant operations at some of the banks, but never did anything to prevent those from happening, or exercise any additional control over such banks, which is very unprofessional. In addition, China has implemented a deposit insurance system since May 2015, allowing banks to go bankrupt and no longer be liable for the compensation of deposits. The state also set a maximum compensation limit to 500,000 yuan. He is worried that the clients of those bankrupted banks are very likely to have to say goodbye to their money forever. And in regards to this scheme, China's Banking Insurance Regulatory Commission, CBIRC, also didn't give any clear answer. A person from one of the related departments just said in the media, in any case, all businesses are acting in accordance with the law, are compliant and also are protected by national laws. If they are suspected of breaking the law and committing crimes, the CBIRC will cooperate with other departments to crack down severely. But in reality, in January 2021, there was an order by the CBIRC banning commercial banks from selling deposit of time-demand optional deposit products via third-party online platforms. And this time, with its scheme pulled by the Henan banks, most of the victims probably didn't know about such a regulation. They just did everything in accordance with what the local bank told them and opened a deposit account through the online platform suggested by their bank. Generally speaking, when things like that happen, the public opinion, media, and members of parliament will pay attention to the supervisory authorities and investigate who should be responsible for such a scheme. But we're in China, so according to the CCP's logic, they'll probably just say that the clients opened their accounts also in violations of the regulations, so in the end the deposits of the victims won't be protected. And they'll probably just arrest a few people involved in the scheme to calm the public opinion. Chinese internet users also don't trust in what the government says. They'll perfectly understand the CCP system. An internet user, Henan, wrote, "Power is in their hands, they do whatever they want." There is another user, his nickname is kind of funny, middle-aged but not greasy. Such a shameful behavior is known even abroad already. It will be used by the Western anti-China forces, and the party-loving little pinks with their feeling of righteousness will start blaming the West altogether. It's not important that the problem originated in China, as long as you can blame the West for it. Another user, Jeep75, wrote, "This pandemic really allowed all the wrongdoings to surface." And another user answered him. This one is actually very interesting. "There is an idiom in Mandarin, let those who comply with me thrive, and those who resist me perish." But he said, those who comply with me thrive, those who resist with me will all be accused in visiting prostitutes. I think I have to explain it here. There was a case when an official opposing the CCP in Hong Kong was detained. The CCP couldn't find any reason to arrest him and accused him of visiting prostitutes. And the saying in Mandarin, 被嫖娼, comes from that case. Another user with the nickname Wei Xiao wrote, "Isn't this the abuse of power?" Lisa7563 asked Wei Xiao rhetorically, "If this doesn't count, then what counts?" Another user named Carry877 left a comment. "I personally think that this case is even more serious than the Tangshan beating." It can be seen that many Chinese people are well aware of those systemic criminal activities at the national level. Sometime I was talking about the unequal treatment of women by the CCP, but in fact this kind of institutional crime can be seen in any aspect of your life. And financial crimes are also happening every year, from the P2P thunderstorms of 2018 and 2019 to the broken Axial apartment case of 2020. The business model of Axial company, Danke in Mandarin, is simple. It rents flats from landlords, renovates them, and then it sublets the flats or individual rooms as single units to tenants at a relatively affordable rate. As the rental market cooled during the pandemic, the increasingly beleaguered Beijing-based broker stopped paying landlords rent money, which the company had collected from tenants for months. This has prompted homeowners to evict tenants. But tenants were also refusing to leave, saying that they still have a right to stay, as they have already paid the rent. And some of them paid the entire year worth of rent, actually. Some of the tenants applied for a credit with Axial's approved fund, paid for the whole year of rent, and when Axial got the money from the fund, they used it for the further investment. But the tenants still had to pay monthly for their credit. And when the financial chain got disrupted during the coronavirus pandemic, some tenants started renting those apartments by themselves. At the same time, landlords didn't get the money from Axial, so they wanted the tenants out. But some of the tenants didn't have any other place to go, and they actually paid on time. It's the CCP run China, so neither tenants nor landlords had an option to file any complaints. And once they started voicing their demands out, the CCP simply silenced them. Or you can also look at the collapse of Evergrande in 2021. If there are financial disputes in democratic countries, those are not very easy to resolve. But in China, it's like living in a top-down criminal system. The system itself is covering up for all the party-affiliated criminals. It is very difficult, if not absolutely impossible, to get any compensation for the victims. The most basic accountability to the regulatory authorities is non-existent. Even more, you can't even go to the bank to protest, or even simply take your money out of the bank, or go to the same bank but in a different town. You can do nothing to protect yourself. Therefore, for me it's really incomprehensible how there still are corporations and politicians in the free world not only investing in China themselves, but also advocating for investing in this country. For example, companies like BlackRock or some well-known entrepreneurs. We should not only doubt their positions, but also think if they want to exploit the Chinese people together with the biggest anti-China force in the world, the CCP government. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please press like, subscribe and share. This is Stan. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.